If you find yourself feeling a bit stressed out a bit too often, then be sure to stay with us because we have what you need. Today, we're sharing tips for a less stressful year. Hello, everyone. It's great to have you with us. I'm Lynn Doyle. Who doesn't have stress in their lives? But no matter how little or how much you have to deal with, you probably want to reduce it. That's why this hour, we're giving you a blueprint to make this year just a wee bit less crazy. To do that, we've invited a couple of pros at being stress-free, including Susan Apollon, who is a psychologist practicing in Yardley, Pennsylvania, where for the last 25 years she specialized in trauma, grief, and life-threatening illnesses. She's also the author of Touched by the Extraordinary, Book 2, Healing Stories of Love, Loss, and Hope. Also with us is an old friend of the show, Dr. Corey Bank, who is a sports psychologist and a professor of psychology at Philadelphia College of Osteopathic Medicine. Susan, Corey, great to have you with us.
Thanks for having us.
I know that the audience has big expectations now because I promised that we're going to tell them how they can live a less stressful life. Susan, it sounds like just by the introduction of what you've spent the last 2.5 decades doing, that your life would be full of stress dealing with people who have horrific problems to deal with. How do you deal with your stress?
Good question. I try to apply what I teach. I really do try to practice what I preach. And I breathe. The breath is something we're born with. And one of the ways that I can best help those who come to me, and I call them patients because their doctors refer them to me, and they're in need of healing, and it's to teach them that they're born with 3 gifts. One is the gift of their breath, their resources. The second is the gift of their imagination, which Einstein said is more valuable than knowledge. The third is the gift of their intuition, their intuitive wisdom. And as they speak with me, and as they share their pain with me, they begin to become aware and conscious of things they can do to enable themselves to shift from feeling very poorly to feeling better. And it usually involves becoming aware of the breath and using it, how they can use their imagination to feel more at peace and calm, and how to detach from their pain, by the way, and then how to be conscious of how they're feeling intuitively in different situations.
So can we use those 3 so-called gifts to deal with everyday stress?
Exactly. It's how I
when
live my life.
When something doesn't go right at work, you could breathe and get through it a little bit better.
No, yeah, really, seriously, that's it. I mean, the breath is something that when you learn simply by breathing in, and again, it's imagination and physiological at the same time. So you literally, and I encourage, I work with CEOs, doctors, dentists, the gamut, and I say just go to the bathroom and sit on the potty and frankly sit there with the intent of going inside and quieting yourself and use your breath. And what I ask is that you sit there, you close your eyes, and you breathe and you visualize this healing energy coming in from your source, whoever your source is. And you feel and you see it, feel going into your heart, lungs, and belly, the peace, and then you breathe it out through your mouth. The combination of in and out releases in the brain endorphins that calms you down. And it does calm you down.
I'm watching Corey's face, and you're mesmerized by this.
Relaxing, and I feel really good right now.
And yet you deal with people who, professional athletes, college athletes, the weekend warrior, people who are using athletics or exercising or fitness as a way to deal with their stress.
Yeah, and one suggestion I give to them, and I give this to people that are coming in who aren't there for sports psychology, but there for stress management, and they say, I want something to work, I want it now, or I want it yesterday. and one thing I suggest to all my clients, and something that I have applied myself the last couple of years, is reducing your time with the people who are those emotional vampires that will suck the emotional energy out of you, that it's me, they offer you nothing in return. And if you can just reduce the time with them by 25%, that will relieve you of a lot of stress. Now, if it's your boss, you're in trouble. But if it's a so-called friend, say you have another plan that day, you can't see them that day, or you've call waiting or something, someone else came on, it's your long lost cousin. Whatever it is to reduce the emotional vampires in your life, it's free and it's easy.
How about that? Now, it's interesting because when you think about cutting out people or things that cause you stress, a lot of times then that creates guilt for many of us. I'm not speaking for everybody, but you feel like, oh, I really have to see this person, or I should be doing this, because I'm expected to. How do we deal with guilt to rid ourselves of some stress?
Corey and I are on the same page. We may use different words, but the ideas are the same. you need to understand, everybody, that you're pure energy. You vibrate. And you need to know that scientifically it's been shown that we're pure energy and our thoughts are energy. So we get to choose the thoughts that make us feel good or not good. And as simple as becoming aware, I do the ABCs, I've taught them, I've created it. Aware of my feeling here, good or not good, I'm not good. Aware of what I'm thinking maybe I'm not good enough, I'm failing. And then feel it, acknowledge, it's another A, acknowledge it, and then do B. Breathe, as I just showed you. Breathe in quietly, fill with peace, breathe it out. And then choose C, and C is just choose a feel-good image or thought from your life that feels better.
You know, someone advised me once when we were doing the live show every night, and it was just wild, crazy, you know, breaking news, things changing every second, that if you were really starting to get negative energy, to put a positive thought in your mind. So whenever I would find myself getting really like just stressed out and I just, you know, feeling like I was coming apart, I would picture my twin grandsons.
Yes,
and
exactly.
to this day, no matter what I'm doing, if I'm in a bad mood and or anything's happening, because I'm not in a bad mood, I will think of Zach and Drew, and it just makes me smile.
Bless you, because that's choosing. That's the C of ABCs. That's choosing a feel-good image from your life, because that's an energy, but that's a feel-good energy. Energy can be high or low. Anything that fills your heart with joy and inspires you is high and loving. And guilt is a low energy, because your question was, what do you do with that?
Right.
To go back to what Corey said, this is important. Corey said, look for the vampires. So that's why I say harness your gift of intuition. Intuitively, everything is energy. So you pick up when you're with somebody. Just do it. Put your hand on your heart. Am I feeling good now or not? Frankly, you're probably not if you intuitively know there's something here that is out of line with your value system.
I think also with what you were saying before, Lynn, about reducing the guilt, I think you start small and you reduce it little by little, because it's hard to go from, you know, feeling guilty all the time, not feeling guilty at all. But the interesting point is, as adults, we are much more in control of our environments. Yeah. And yet, if you look at, you know, I look at my 4-year-old son, my 1-year-old daughter, they're happy, they seem stress-free unless they want to be fed or something. And you know, and they have much less control over their environment. So I think for the adults that are dealing with stress, it's starting small. And whether it's that positive image, you know, the first thing you get up in the morning, or the last thing before you go to sleep, you know, whether it's your grandkids, or whether it's something that can be a nice. And again, I like free, costs no money. I like easy to do. Doesn't take a lot of time.
Well, I was going to say probably things that cost money or things that also add stress. If you
Exactly.
you know, if you're trying to eliminate things that add stress. We have to take a quick break, but I'm going to pose the question to our audience. We want to know what causes you stress in your life, and we want to know if you're ready to make some changes to alleviate it, because the experts are going to tell you that if you're not willing to make changes, then you're going to have to deal with the stress. So somebody's got to give a little something. Our experts are giving you tips. You tell us what you think by giving us an email during the break. It's Lynn@lynndoyle.net.